Welcome to Slayerfest 98. I'm Ian Carlos Crawford.
I'm Colin Smith.
And I'm Dayspring, and we are here today to discuss The Price, which is season 3 of Angel, episode 19.
What did we think? Cordelia's finally back in the fold. What do we think of this episode overall, Dayspring?
I love it so much. I watched this episode live when it was happening, and I can still remember the image in the promo that they had for when Cordelia returned, and she was here like, Angel, I am so sorry. And then the promo for this, where we would see at the end, where this is like the origins of Saint Cordelia. So when Lila mocks Cordy in the future about being a saint, these are the origins of it and how she glows ethereally. So
It really is Saint Cordelia. Colin, what'd you think?
I really liked this episode, and it is, after the last one or two episodes, it is a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, I will say, Colin, you were on for the last episode as well. I don't love this episode, but it was it felt like we're slightly getting back to
We're back in the upswing of excitement for the final few episodes.
There's a gang together. It's not like three people that don't really like each other that are arguing all the time. It's like we have our crew, we have a monster for them to fight, and like there's still a little bit of arguing, but it's not as much because I don't think Gunn, Angel, and Fred all have a strong enough dynamic to have been carrying the show for the last 3 episodes. Because David Boreanaz is, his acting doesn't always land when it's like sad and angry. I'm like, yeah. And Fred and Gunn, just like, I love them, but like, they are not strong enough to carry all the emotional beats of the show, and they don't have the like romantic chemistry for me. So this was a nice return. I mean, immediately having Cordelia back really does. There's a moment when her and Angel are talking, and I was like, this is what I was missing. This is exactly what I was missing these last 3 episodes, with like the episodes where Cordelia was gone. And even when she came back, right, Colin, that episode, she wasn't in it that much in that episode.
No, well, because they just spend most of the episode moping in Angel's room. Like, well, she's not moping. She's just there to read and comfort him when he wants to speak. But it's nice to actually see her interacting with everyone and the gang, like you said, all together.
Yeah,
sadly without Wes,
I really feel like this kind of drives home the point that she is the heart of the group.
Yeah.
Like,
she is 100%. And Cordy's evolution in Angel and the Buffyverse in general is probably the best. And
yeah.
I mean, Charisma Carpenter has such a presence on stage. And I'm sorry if you discussed it last episode, but she went away because Charisma was on her honeymoon. Do I remember that? Or did she need a break
Mixed
and they had to write
theories.
in a break? Mixed
So
theories.
there's a couple of rumors. Yeah, but that's one of the bigger, like, unconfirmed rumors, is that it was like her delayed honeymoon.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like 3 episodes where she's just gone, and they definitely, I feel like they prepared for it. Like, it feels like Cordy had to be gone for all that shit to
Agreed.
go wrong. But it's like you still miss her. It's even if it's like written into the story and it's not just like, oops, she's gone. It's like,
Yeah.
It's very noticeable that she's gone.
you just like, it's so noticeable. And like, I do agree, like the writers have said a lot that like, well, Wes would have talked to Cordelia. Like, even if this was all going on, he probably would have, like, Cordelia would have been like, everyone cut the shit. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
What's going on? Like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? And I think Wesley would have talked to her, and that would have kind of solved the problem, because she would not have let that happen. So she did need to be gone. It's just, but it's so nice to have her back. Dayspring, I forget. Did we talk? What do you think about Gru? Because I do really like him. I mean, he feels like a plot device just to be in the way of Angel and Cordelia, but I like him.
I like him. I mean, I remember when I watched this as it was happening live, it was kind of odd that they brought him back, but I knew at the time, oh, this is just a foil for the Angel and Cordy romance. The end game is always going to be Angel and Cordy. And, they play into that, obviously, with him kind of looking like David Boreanaz. But I've never cared for him personally, but I think the character isn't offensive. I think he's very handsome. I do think he kind of just disappears. He kind of leaves at the end, and it's never really. He leaves at the end of the season, right?
Never talk about him ever again.
I think he may come up in the Angel comics, in the the IDW comics. I think he may be in there when they do their season 6. But I thought he was an inoffensive character, and I wish he had come back later on. Was there a plan to bring him back in season 5 though, or
I
season 4?
I feel like I remember reading a lot of the characters were supposed to come back, and then Angel's weird because I feel like Angel tries to do the thing Buffy does, where like a character that's important does come back or is at least mentioned, but Angel doesn't always do it so well. Like it's like very random characters, like how Gwen Raiden in season 4. I actually I mean, I know she's fully an X-Men ripoff, but
I love Gwen so much, especially in the season 4 episode where the sun gets blocked out and she's running up, and the way she goes up the stairs. I'm like, love her.
And I understand the critiques of like she's an X-Men ripoff character, and she is, but I still like her. I still think she's fun, but she just disappears. Like I feel like it's right after that episode with the eclipse when they're like a line of dialogue. Oh, Gwen left.
Yeah, she just took off, and then we never see. But she does come back in the comic book as well, and she hooks up with Colin. Or I said Colin with Connor. Sorry, Colin. Wait, Colin. You had a reaction. Oh, do you like? Oh my gosh, I can never really pronounce his name. I call him Groot in my head. Groot. There we go. I call him Groot. Yeah. Okay.
I think he is such a sweet, sweet boy.
Yes.
He definitely deserves better than the situation. How about that?
Yeah.
And I do think, like you said in Dayspring, it would have been cute if he did come back, like without the Cordelia romance. Like I think he could have been a fun character. That's just like
he hooks up with Lila. That's who he needs. Lila. He needs that Lila energy.
He needs like a Dom mommy to like tell him. He needs Dom.
not Saint Cordy, not Saint Cordelia. He needs Dom mommy. Fucking Lila. I was going to say Stephanie. But yeah, I think Gru needs to be with someone like Lila. That's where I would be like, that's perfect.
Yeah, just like tell him what to do. She knows he's hot. Like
she brings in the money. He's at home taking care of the land or whatever the fuck he wants to do, you know?
The land.
Growing fucking like an avocado tree in the back and like posting it on Instagram. And Lila's like, that's great, honey. Like,
that's amazing.
That's amazing, honey. I have to go to court now. Bye.
Yeah.
She leaves with the briefcase.
We're fucking for 20 minutes and then I'm leaving. Yep. Like anyway, so this episode we opened, they're repainting Angel's room. This is the shit that I like. It's like everyone's come together because they're like, oh, Angel's got this grief. Oh, this apartment blew up in the hotel. Let's all fix it together. And I like this shit. I like when it's like we get to see them just doing something regular and like how they're interacting with that. And I do think it's wild that just Cordelia coming back makes it so they're able to do something like this when like Connor has been gone for like 3 episodes or 2 episodes. And like we didn't really get a moment of like, oh, people coming, because even Lauren was kind of like not there these last couple episodes or just with Angel. So I like seeing this where it's like everyone's helping him, everyone's like, oh, maybe do a different color, and he's like, nope, it's back to the way it was.
And I do love Drew in this scene when he mispronounces purple. He's like, you got pomegranate? He's like, well, that was my mother's name.
Yes. And Cordelia's, she says something like, he does have good taste. Listen to Gru. Like, I like the idea of him being a really good interior designer, like
oh my god,
silly himbo.
Get him a show on HGTV.
I would watch.
Did it even exist back then? Yeah.
Angel picks up that snow globe, and when he picked it up, I was like, "Who's that? Like, did he buy that? Why would he buy that for a baby? It's a snow globe." And then he says, "Why did I even buy this for Connor?" We get an amends reference because he's like, "It never snows in California." And
like, yeah,
one time. I like that.
I mean, and he should know,
right? Like he was there, like he was in the snow.
Like, the snow saved your life, buddy.
Yeah. You literally are walking around holding Buffy's hand in downtown Sunnydale, looking up at the snow. And you have the AT&T commercial too, or no, the 1-800 collect commercial too.
Yes.
You know, like, and then he's here like not a mistletoe, and then like Buffy with her bangs just smiles.
Her bangs. Angel's kind of like, we got to get back to work, blah blah blah. Like, and I do think that makes sense. This makes sense for Angel and grief, right? For me, this makes sense that he would be someone that's like, we're not talking about it. Let's just do work.
I need to put my mind somewhere else. And
yeah, like for me, that's better than like him angry trying to kill someone or him yelling at Fred and Gunn. Like this makes more sense for Angel that he would be like, no, we're not talking about it. And yes, I'm just gonna go kill some more monsters to like get my brain off it. That for me is more in line with how Angel would react to grief.
Right? I agree. I agree.
He kind of says, "Oh, like, well, maybe we'll have a walk-in." Cordy says, "Never on Sundays," but we get this poor man just looking for his dog. Because I was like, wait, that guy's like just a regular guy looking for his dog, and he
Nothing
just happens,
supernatural or
yeah. And he gets possessed by, God, what the hell? I don't know if I wrote the names down. What are these demons' names? I keep writing Slug Demon.
Is it Sluck? Is it Sluck? SLUK?
Yes,
I think it's
yes,
Yeah,
there we
Sluck.
go.
Yes,
There you
you're
go.
right. I do wonder why they made it. It feels like I can't decide if making it see-through made the effects look less bad or if it made it work worse.
You know, in the early aughts, they look cool. How about that? They
Fair.
definitely have not aged correctly, but in the year 2000, whatever, like this was like, wow, they could do
Yeah.
that on TV. So
True.
that's where I'm going to end there.
That's fair. That's fair. The man just kind of zooms out when he sees Angel. Angel thinks it's because of the pentagram. Post credits, this conversation I really like. Cordelia is kind of nagging him to get him to talk about it. And Dayspring, this feels very you and I. Like, it's like she's doing it because she knows it'll kind of like get a rise out of him, and he gets annoyed at her, but then is like immediately like, blah, blah, blah. Oh, damn it, you're making me talk about it, aren't you? And she's like, yes, I am. And then she also like vents about it. And Charisma Carpenter, I was like, right, this is what I needed to hear about the grief over Connor, because I think her angry venting, but kind of almost breaking and crying is like really well like portrayed here, right?
Yeah. Charisma is such a great actress. I mean, it truly, just to reiterate that point, and I know there's always been like, set discussions that she had an acting coach, everything, but man, does she have that natural aptitude for drama, for humor, for lightness. I really, again, charisma steals every scene she's in.
Yeah. Yeah, because I as soon as I saw her do this, I was like, oh, we tried to do this with David Boreanaz 2 episodes ago, and it did not work. But it works with her because she has acting like chops.
And also because it's a payoff for their romance. I'm not a fan of the Angel Cordy romance by any means, but we've been building towards that, and it's going to continue to be a plot point. And this is sort of like you understand why they work together.
Yeah.
I prefer to see this as a friendship, right? So, but you realize that he needed her in that moment, and she wanted to be there. And I think that's a very beautiful, and that's a hard thing to pull off. And it's only something that can be a payoff for the viewers. And that's why this scene in particular is there's so much levity to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Colin, what do you think about this?
Oh, I really like this scene. And I think it's when she starts to vent that, like, if I had been here, and when he cuts her off, I was like, well, there's nothing you could have done. She's like, well, you don't know that. And they even could have played up. And it's one thing that grates me on this episode that I said the same thing last episode, that she still does not go see Wesley at all. But she could have, like, in this moment, it should have been like, if I was here, this may not have happened because of my relationship with Wesley.
Yes. Yeah, we'll get there, but yeah, I have issues with when it's finally brought up. We cut to the possessed man. What is it like? Is he across the street?
He's just across the street at a juice bar.
At a smoothie place.
The entire day.
Yeah, it's like he's been there for like 6 hours or something. He pulls out a credit card that looks like a cartoon credit card. It's like got these stripes on it. It's like very bright. And they're like, I don't accept credit cards. And then we go to Wolfram and Hart and we see our friends Lila and Gavin. I love these little scenes that kind of like, we're doing the same thing in every one of these Lila Gavin scenes, but I find it fun watching them like bicker. It's not.
I really like this one at the end when she's like, okay, we're done now, right? And then they just
and like the fact that she's like not even taking a compliment from him, and he's like, usually when a coworker pats their coworker on the back, and she's like, I look for the knife. Like she's just like,
she's not wrong.
Don't fucking talk to me. Like, I don't want any of your bullshit. I love
She's
it.
Been
She's
around
so
Wolfram
good.
and Hart long enough to know how this goes.
That is
He
true.
does. And you know, one thing that I didn't pick up on it when I was initially watching this, but I have now as an adult, it's the sexism at Wolfram and Hart, and how Gavin is kind of emblematic of that when she has earned her power and where she's at. And I know that's low hanging fruit. But again, when you're a teenager watching it, you don't think about, those politics in the workplace. But again, it's just a genius to how the show has been put together and the layers in Stephanie's performance.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, because even Colin, was it the last episode you were on, or maybe it was a different one when Angel goes to see her? And she's like, I had to work harder than every man.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, it's a feminism thing. And she's like, no, it's a survival thing. Like, she's like, I don't fucking care. Like, so I love that, like, this guy is pretend to be nice to her and she's still like, fuck off. I don't
get the fuck out of here.
She's like, don't even try.
Oh, the poor Gavin.
I know.
Poor Gavin.
He never gets anywhere, and then he gets like killed by the beast and turned into a zombie.
And it's exactly what he deserves.
Yeah. And I forget, in that episode, they're like, oh my God, it's that Gavin? And like there's like a gag for that. Like they either shoot him or they close the door, I forget. But the poor Gavin just exists to be Lila's foil. That's
and
it.
then die, yeah.
And then die.
What was his name on Lost again? I forget. Jin?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's wild because he wasn't Lost like only like a year after this or maybe the same time?
Lost was 2004 premiere, so it'd be a couple years after this.
Okay, 2 years. Okay, because I just always think of these as like the same era where I was like, oh, that guy's from Wolfram and Hart when I like saw him on Lost.
And by the way, like Gavin, like I didn't think so at the time, but as an adult now, I'm like Gavin's hot as fuck.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Oh, he is absolutely.
Like my God, like
that jawline. Like,
oh wow.
And
like seriously,
20 odd years later, still hot as fuck.
Oh,
if you haven't seen him lately,
looks the same.
Can we get him on the podcast?
Seriously, but it's funny, Dayspring. There is a lot of guys like that where it's like I definitely as a teen I didn't appreciate how hot they were, but like as an adult, it's like that is a hot man.
Well, Dark Wesley, which is starting to begin now. Dark Wesley is so fun. I wouldn't have thought so 20 years ago, but now as an adult, I'm like, Daddy, kidnap that baby.
I love him so much.
Put me in the closet.
Like, you can put me in the closet. I'll put on these glasses and pretend to be Fred. Like, I'll role play for you, Daddy.
We go back to the hotel. Gunn and Fred are watching Angel at Wesley's desk, saying it's weird. And then we do get... This bothers me. This does bother me a little bit when Fred goes over to Cordelia and is like, you can talk to Wesley. And I really don't understand why Cordelia, like I understand she's right when she's like, Angel's feelings are first. That makes sense.
She wants her to talk to Angel about Wesley and like see if there's any way. She doesn't specifically say go to Wesley, but it just drives me that, and I get Cordy being like, no, I'm not going to bring it up to Angel, but like you should be going to see Wesley.
Yeah. That's like one thing that feels out of character. Because it feels like she would be like, yeah, Wesley fucked up, but let me go see him and tell him he fucked up. But like, tell
even
him
just like, to be like what Fred did last episode of like, I'm going to go see that you're okay.
Yeah.
But you're out of the group.
Yeah. And it's wild. I think I said this in the last episode, Colin, that her and Wesley don't see each other again until fucking season 5, which is wild. Like, I hate that. Because they were like,
the only I remember thinking that too on my initial watch of the series, and the only thing that I could conclude was that Cordy really saw Angel and Connor as like her family, the traditional family, and now that this is like an irrational like anger at Wesley, like I don't care what his motives were, you took the baby away. And you ruined something that was just pure happiness for all of us. That's the only thing I can rationalize. But I agree with you. I think Saint Cordy would go there and make him confess. And I think Wesley would talk to Cordy, and I could have.
He even says it, skipping ahead, but when Gunn goes to see him in this episode of like, I fought so hard to stay alive because I wanted to see my friends and explain why I did what I did and hope you would listen to me. And Cordy would. Is the thing.
Yes. That right. Like she might be like, what you did was stupid, but she would still, I don't know. I do think she could have mended something.
It just going back to, last episode, the same thing I brought up of way back in season 1, when we get Angelus Light, Cordy and Wes explain to Angel, like, we know this is always a potential and we are prepared for that. So Cordy would come at it from that perspective with Wesley, right?
Yes, and I think that, like, again, I that's what always bothered me when he's like, when they tell him the prophecy, and he's like, well, that just wouldn't happen. It's like, but we saw that happen.
But it does happen all the time.
If you had turned evil, there's no way you wouldn't have eaten that baby. Like, right? Like, Angelus would have been like, oh, me and Darla had a kid, and it's human. I'd love to eat this thing. Like, he just would. So it's not, like, wild to think, like, That, and I think Cordelia might have, it feels like she might have thought about that, right?
Right.
Like she might have taken that in consideration to be like, you do turn evil sometimes. I have witnessed it.
Yeah, like
It's
your
not
anger is
great.
justified.
Yeah,
But
like,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, like Wesley saw you with the blood and your face holding the baby, like he was legitimately concerned. So
yeah, and that's, I feel like it's the thing that frustrates me, but the thing that I like about this storyline, I think Angel, one of the few things, but one of the things Angel does a little better than Buffy is that moral gray area
yes.
where like
yeah.
you can see it's not like I think Angel shouldn't be mad because I would also be furious, right? But it's like I can understand why Wesley did it. In
Yeah.
the context of this show, there are always prophecies that usually come true somehow. We've seen Angel turn evil and kill his friends.
Yeah.
It just like so I like that there's like a moral gray area of like you can understand Angel's anger, but also you understand why Wesley did it. He thought he was saving this child. He was not, but he thought he was. But also I can understand Fred's anger of like, why didn't you talk to me about this?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if I were Fred, I would also feel betrayed that he didn't like come to me to be like, there's a prophecy about the baby. Like we have to save this child that's like in our little chosen family. I understand Fred's hurt too, but she also
absolutely.
is someone who wants it to, like she wants Cordelia to talk to Angel about Wesley. She kind of like wants to try to mend that, but she hasn't been part of the group long enough that she can really facilitate.
And also, like, Fred, like, come on. Like, Wesley's in love with you and he feels betrayed that you're with Gunn. You know what I mean? Like, so he doesn't already have that trust with you there.
No, and it all makes sense. It's and even like the conversation that Fred and Gunn are having when Gunn is like, we're not going to bring up Wesley. We're not going to like.
Yeah.
Even that we watched last year, Gunn and Wesley become best friends.
Like
when
real
Angel
yeah.
abandoned them, and like for him to just see Angel sat at the desk and be like, well, I mean, that's where he was when I first showed up, so like that's fine. Like, shouldn't there be something of like, yeah, last year that guy fucking left us high and dry to go bang Darla.
Yeah,
And now this is all because of that.
Yeah. It
And
almost
like,
feels like that
mad,
was,
but like,
I never thought about it until now, Colin. I mean, that's a, like, they all three were together after Angel abandoned them. Like, you would think they would have some kind of camaraderie that they know, like, man, Angel can go dark. Angel can walk his own path and, like, abandon us. Like, we need to have clear communication.
and
It's a great point, Colin.
and it's even brought up in this episode in the scene with
Lila.
Lila and Gavin when she's like, "Do you not remember a wine cellar last year full of lawyers?" Like,
and it's like, but say that to the other characters.
Angel goes dark.
Yeah.
I hear the sirens.
So that's just why
I don't
it
know
constantly
what will be
bothers
in
me
morning.
of none of them going to see Wes at all. Like,
Yeah.
they hear
That's
him
fair.
out because he goes to see
Yeah.
it for help, but like,
Yeah, and like I understand why he does, and of course I understand why Wesley. I just like, for me, I'm like, it feels a little cheap to be like, don't ever talk to us again. We all fucking hate you. Hey, we need your help. Like,
and I mean, we're skipping ahead now, but just that whole bit at the end when, I mean, he doesn't say he goes to see Wesley, but like, I did what I did. I did whatever I had to do to save her. Like, so you and Angel can do whatever you want to save someone you love,
right.
but Wesley can't?
Right. No one's learning that lesson here, it seems like.
Anyways, we'll get to that when we get to it. But.
Yeah. So Cordelia says, you want me to say something to Angel about Wesley? Can't, won't. She says, and I guess I do kind of understand. She says Angel doesn't want to hear it right now.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
There's something about, like, I get why she's saying Angel's feelings are first, but I just wish there had been, because yeah, you're right. Like that does make sense, but I just wish she had been like, I also care about Wesley, so I will eventually, even if she was like, I plan on going to see him. If she didn't get a chance to, but at least if she said like, I'm going to check in on him like in a few days.
We'll get there. It's just I'm focused on Angel at the moment.
Yeah, like rather than almost like brushing off Wesley as like, meh, like who cares?
But I do like, just to your point when she says like Angel comes first, and when Gru overhears it, one thing that I love, because most shows don't do this, skipping ahead a bit again, is when someone overhears something that they're not supposed to, they take it out of context and there's no communication.
Yeah.
When him and Cordy are alone later, he's like, so you said this.
Yes, because these shows especially love doing that, and then we don't talk about it and the person just assumes the worst. But that's why we like Gru. He's
as sweet himbo as he is, he's very intelligent.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, Colin, again, another great point. Like, you break that cliche dramatic mold that at the time was very, standard for television. Like, Gro like really says like, "Hey, you said that," and that's why we love him because
Yeah.
he's more than a himbo. I mean, he's a himbo on the
He
surface. How
is,
about that?
but
Yeah. And
he's
he's
very
like,
emotionally
Surface only
intelligent, we'll say.
himbo. Yeah, intuitive. How about that?
Yeah.
Perceptive.
Yes.
There
Perceptive.
we go.
So then Lauren enters to tell them about the possessed man across the street at the smoothie place. They go to get him. He looks gross and dusty and kind of zombie-ish. Angel knocks him out pretty quickly. And I do like Angel being like, great, we have a case now. I'm excited. And he like picks up the guy and they walk over to the hotel. And like, it's funny because we went from the last few episodes where there was like barely 3 characters in a scene to a very crowded
There's
group
a
of
lot
like,
of them.
yeah, there's like so many of them. It feels, did y'all see the last Jurassic Park movie?
Yeah, where they're all running at the end. It's like a big group
And
of.
it's
Yes,
like,
I think about that all the time.
because it's like,
All right.
how did some of them not die? There was just so many of
Yeah.
them. The T-Rex easily could have gotten like 3, and there's still 6
Yeah.
more.
There's like a huge group. I think about that last scene where they're running from the T-Rex. I'm like, there's like 800 characters on screen right now.
And then they all get in that helicopter. And it's like a clown
Yeah.
car, and they're all like, great, we made it. And it's like, what? But that's what I was thinking of with this scene, because there's just so many characters. And again, I prefer Angel and Buffy with a lot. I always prefer the ensemble over like
Same.
just 1 or 2 characters. So I'll take it. It just like was a little goofy seeing what a big crowd it is. And also it helps with the plot of like hunting this like demon, and we can split up and have like Scooby Doo antics. Can one of you tell me what the fuck Lila was doing with her computer?
She got a private and confidential email, and the only way to get the password is for the magical tarantula to type it in.
Oh.
Which is why when Gavin comes in and says, "Did you see it?" She's like, "I had to go through all of this, and you just happened to see this thing that you weren't supposed to."
Oh, I was like, was she just doing something else? And he like happened to come in and bother her while she was in the middle of like doing something else. Oh, that makes more sense. Because I really rewound it to be like, wait, did she just take a big spider and put it on her keyboard? Like,
it's weird. And I mean, I guess it's a magical bug, but it's locked in this drawer. Like, how is it surviving?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
how
it's
did
just,
she get it?
Yeah.
It's a magical hack.
Yeah.
Why didn't she just call IT? I don't know.
And a part of my brain was like, but wouldn't Lila hate this? And the other part of my brain was like, no, Lila just wouldn't care. She'd be like,
No.
this is annoying. Let me get this.
This is what I have to do, whatever.
Yeah. She wouldn't be all gay about it like I would be. Like I'd be screaming. I'd be like, no, I can touch a spider.
No, Lila definitely no.
Yeah.
He doesn't give a shit.
She's like, oh, you want me to squish it in my hand? Great, I'll squish it in my hand.
So you go like that.
I do like the line she gives to Gavin when he comes in and she says, do you have a point, or are you waxing my desk with your ass for fun? It's such a good line. They have a conversation about like, is this where they have the conversation? Yeah, it is. About like if Angel died, how they like might not like that. Because it's like a spell she did. And this is when he drops the, God, how do you say it? Thermogenesis?
Thermogenesis, yeah.
Which
Thermogenesis.
was brought up earlier this year in Buffy season 6, Afterlife, which I like. And it's the Jonathan episode Superstar. That's what that is. I love when the Buffyverse does shit like that, where it's like, we don't even need to say that this is a thing that has been mentioned twice in the Buffyverse, but like, we are going to mention it because we know it exists. Like, I love Star Trek was always really good at that too, where it's just like, yeah, this is an alien race we've seen before. We don't need to like, just like, great, we're going with it. And I love that.
Yeah. Well, it's a show faked for your audience that they understand the world building. Sorry, interrupt you.
Well, no, and like they kind of explain it, but they don't need to go in depth. And it's just like, yeah, we've
but even
this before.
Outside of Lila and Gavin talking about it, when Cordy is first trying to egg Angel on at the start, she even brings up like, you dabbled in something you shouldn't have. There is going to be consequences for this.
Yes. Which Gavin does kind of like shake Lila a little bit, where he's like, well, if he dies and it's a spell you did, which I don't think is incorrect for her to be like, okay, shit, yeah, they might be pissed at me. Let me get a special ops team. And I love later when she's like, I have to go save my mortal enemy.
But the other side of that is the senior partner / the conduit are the one that told them how to do this spell.
Oh, that is true.
So like, it's kind of a spell you guys did.
Like they did. Yeah, the White Room literally gave it to I forgot about that. You're right. Huh.
Yeah.
Well, you know. Back to the hotel, Gru and Cordelia are having their talk. They like I don't know. I didn't really take a lot of notes about it, but they do like, it's like they kind of resolve it, right? Like,
Yeah, she's like, work and what's going on right now, Angel comes first, but you are, when it comes to other things, you are first.
Which liar.
Sexy times you are first because I can't bang Angel is basically what she's saying.
But I love that because I think there was the way Charisma plays it. It's like Cordy's still not realizing her feelings yet. It's very much self-deceiving.
100%.
Like he gets it, he sees it.
Yeah.
But she still is just in denial about it. And again, great acting. I'm just going to put myself on repeat. Great acting. I mean, it's phenomenal.
Then what is it? Like he tells her to stay still because he sees one of the
There's a slug behind them
on the wall. And I do like that she saves herself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like that it's like there's a second of when she's like, what are you doing? Like, we just talked. And then she's like, oh, right, there's a thing. I got it.
There's obviously something happening behind me.
And he's kind of like, I forget what he says to her. And she's like, yeah, I was saving my own life. Like and this is the version of Cordelia I wish we had gotten more time with, because I like that we did see her train in the beginning. And like, we didn't get that many scenes of it, but we got enough to know that like, this was probably a thing that was happening right between episodes or whatever, that they were training more. And I mean, in season 5, when she comes back and she is able to, like, when her and Spike and Angel are like, we're gonna go fight these monsters, we're gonna go get Lindsay. With this, it makes sense that she like grabs a sword, she can use it, she's a good fighter, because we saw her train and we saw her get there here. And then season 4 is just, I don't know, it's just like a not Cordelia, so but
season 4 Cordelia is a reaction to the Cordelia we're starting to see here, because they wanted her to go back to more of what Cordy was. And that's such a misfire on an otherwise perfect like writing staff.
No, agreed. Angel says they need to turn off the lights and use the flashlights because what is it? They glow in the dark? Is that what it is? Yeah.
They glow and they're sensitive to light and stuff. So. And
then Fred gets gotten.
Oh yeah. Real quick before
I'm breezing through because my notes are very brief here, so stop me whenever.
Before they switch off the lights and go through the whole like Fred gets attacked, Fred and Gunn have a conversation where she's complaining about doing the research that Wesley used to do. Oh, yes. And I just hate this part because when she's like, research about physics and all that shit I'm great at, but this is just too much. And he says, well, you better get good at it. Like, why aren't you picking up a book, buddy?
Yeah. Like, that is true. Like it's reading. Like you can do this too. Yeah. You can help.
And I don't know if that's something larger with the Gunn character, because when in season 5, he downloads the law information to get it. So I don't know if he has this like low self-esteem about that he only sees himself as muscle and not brains. But I agree with you. I was like, I guess like she's supposed to fill in that trope now, but shrug,
Yeah, and they also like they're really fast and loose with what Fred is good at, right? Because like next season, I feel like she would be fine doing this. Like I feel like season 4 or 5. Well, that's
because she got good at it.
True, yeah.
What did she tell Willow in Orpheus? You're like, oh, I'd love for you to read this text because it's a demonic accent writing another. I was like, damn, Fred, you're in the trenches there.
Because isn't that when Willow's like, oh, I have a girlfriend? Like,
Hey, you can see Willow. Willow's like ready to sleep with her. She's like, I've seen someone. And like Fred is like,
and like Kennedy would have been okay with.
I think so, right?
She would have like, I don't know how you bang someone in LA. Perfect.
Let's see, Illyria or Kennedy. Like,
And like, I feel like Willow and Fred could never have like been girlfriends because I feel like they're like maybe too similar, but like they probably could have banged it out a little bit.
Oh, 100%.
Nice for
them. Hear me, Illyria and Dark Willow. Like, there you go.
Definitely would have banged it out.
I would like that combination.
They would have banged for centuries.
I actually really loved Illyria in the comics. I loved when she was part of whatever that like demon council was in Buffy, and I liked seeing her work with Buffy. Like I really liked all that.
And sidebar with Illyria, just quickly, she has the best line in the comics where she says, "Better to die saving the world than with it." I thought that was such a beautiful line for Illyria.
Dayspring, you are so good. Like, this is why you have a comics podcast, because you can quote fucking comics. And like I read all of those, but I'm like, that sounds like a good line. I don't know where it was.
It's a gorgeous line. But anyways, Illyria's nowhere to be found for like 2 more seasons.
Right,
Sorry,
yes.
guys. Sorry.
ahead.
But they're the OG Agatha and Death. How about that?
There you
Dark
go.
Willow and Illyria.
All right, I like that. So I always notice when they use a new set, and this is like, I can't think of another episode where they go more into the hotel.
Which I made a note of that when, after they first switch off the lights and they're searching down like this hallway, they're like, and I think it's Lauren is like, where are we? They're like, oh, we're in the South Wing. I just haven't found a use for it yet. So there are 6 of you living here. What use are you going to find other than someone says, I want a whole wing of the hotel to myself?
I want this wing. Well, sure. There's so many wings. Take it. Yeah, and they're like, I think Cordelia's like, do we even have a key to here? And it's like, you haven't been in every. You're like,
They
Angel
haven't even
hasn't
explored.
opened
Like there could be God knows what.
Yeah.
You killed one demon, moved in. There could be thousands of demons hanging out here.
That's the thing. Like, I would think they would at the very least be wanting to see them to make sure there's
Scoured
not like,
the place and
weird demons in rooms that they haven't been in.
Like a standard exorcism spell for every wing of this hotel.
Yes. And when they do go in that room, it is like a whole new, it's like a cafeteria, right? Because there's like...
It's like a ballroom type thing.
Because there's that weird like Greek chariot like molding on I was like, what is this set? Because this feels like, I don't know, like that feels like something they should have used again. I feel like we talk a lot.
Like this would be great as like a nightclub, which would have been fun to, in season 4, have him try to like, this is what Lauren's doing this season.
And that would make sense to have Hyperion Hotel as like a demon bar lounge area. Like they do a lot of demon-y shit.
Oh my God. I never thought about that till now. That would have been amazing.
I wonder if that was like a thing they were like, let's hint at it in case we want to use that later. In case we want to do something. Because I do feel like in Angel, I can see a lot more of that. Like Buffy, I feel like it's like they say it so they can use it. Yeah. I feel like with Angel, a lot of times they say something like,
we'll sprinkle it and maybe we'll come back to it.
Because that really feels like something they like hinted at just in case they did. But yeah, they're like in this new set with the whatever. And is this where this is where like they hear Gru hear something about...
They can hear, it sounds like birds or bats or something coming from this room. And that's why they go in there. And then Gru figures out it's under the floor.
I do like Cordelia's reaction of, oh my God, we have a pool. The thingies run out. They all run. We end up running to the kitchen, which is this is the scene I remembered from the episode. This is like, for me, like everyone comes together. We're in the kitchen. Gunn runs in with Fred. She's all dusty. Angel's like, let's turn up the ovens. And Fred screams because Gunn is gone. I didn't even remember he went to see Wesley. Honestly, I was like, oh, did he get got too? I don't remember. Colin, yes.
He when they flee from the ballroom, he doesn't join them in the kitchens. And then, we see him show up at Wes's door, and I think it skips back to the gang first before we get their actual interaction.
But let's talk about their interaction, because I don't know. They're both annoying me here. I'm not going to lie.
No, Wes did nothing wrong. He never does anything wrong. He's perfect. Same thing, though. I do think, like, I understand why Gunn is kind of like, I can't talk about anything right now other than we're in trouble and Fred's in trouble.
Because if we waste time arguing, she could die, and that would be stupid. Like,
but it's the same thing of just like, this is a visit that should have happened a week ago.
Yeah. If like you had checked in on him before it was like you needed something, he might have
been a little friendlier to you on entry.
Yeah. But I don't know. I don't know what I would have wanted from this scene, but the arguing is just like annoying, and I'm like, boys, we really need to speed this up.
I think in the context of the episode, it gets the job done, right? We need to find... Fred is not yet at Wesley's research level.
Yeah.
So there's no hope of finding an answer. So someone had to go to Wesley to get an answer. We knew it wasn't going to be Cordy. And again, this is why I don't understand why Gunn won't pick up a book himself, because he is very perceptive, and he knows that if he had gone and just been like, the gang's in trouble, Wesley would have been like, fuck you guys all turned on me. But the fact that he said Fred. And again, and he knew that, he's well aware of that. So I agree with your comments, but I think in terms of like from the writing perspective, you needed this scene to come together the way it did, just so we can establish that the gang is missing Wesley, but Wesley is still human. He still cares for them, specifically Fred.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what is it? Do we even do we hear the solution, or I forget?
He tells him that Fred's in danger. He explains to him what the slug is and what, it's doing, and Wes just gives him a bottle of vodka. And
Yeah. I'm like, I'm doing this motion. Like, yeah, he throws him like the vodka. I thought it was a book. In my head, you know what? So I watched it on my plane ride here to LA. I don't know why I keep thinking it was always a book he throws, but it was vodka. You're right.
Dayspring, that would be you with me. Like, well, I don't know, but here.
Yeah. I'm just like, I don't think we have time to have a drink together. No.
Like, Ian, I don't know,
take
but
this
I
and
have
don't come back.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, you're right. These slugs suck. Let's have some vodka.
Yeah, like, they'll be fine. Yeah, let's go get drunk.
Colin, I feel like you or I would be like, here, have a weed. Like,
100%. Well, listen, if I was Wesley in that situation, I would have been passed out on the couch already from edibles.
True.
You guys abandon me. I'm just going to get high and forget about my troubles.
Because the conceit is like the vodka will dry them out, right?
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
And we see them all fighting for their lives in the kitchen. Gunn comes back.
Well, Angel sends them all away to a hospital because like maybe the hospital will keep her hydrated enough until we can figure out a solution.
Because they leave, but then they come back, right? They leave that kitchen, but then they come back to that kitchen.
Angel forces them all out, and Cordy stays with him. After everyone's leaving, Cordy stays, and Gru notices that as well because he's very perspective.
Right.
Cordy is clearly more into Angel than me.
Right. That's what we're getting here. Like
they meet up in the lobby, and Gunn is there and starts pouring alcohol down her throat to dry her out.
Which is such a great night.
Yeah, it's such a goofy solution to a demon. It's like, get drunk. The three of us can solve that demon problem very easily.
Yeah, but like, wouldn't her body already be dehydrated because the demon is like, it's fine. Listen, it's a cute problem. It's a cute solve. Like, it's fine.
But the thing I love is Cordy gets like one of those like the slug demon like wraps around her arm.
Yeah, she like catches it as it jumps at her face.
Yes. And then as Dayspring said, we get Saint Cordelia.
I know. Cordelia Chase of the White Crown right there.
I do like it bums me out so much because I do love this. I'm like, again, like X-Men empowered Cordelia. Like I would have loved if moving forward, that's what she was. Like we get
if we explore this a little more.
Yeah, it's like we get it so briefly, but I love it. But like it's only we have like 4 episodes left, and then we don't get that again.
And by the way, the way this was shot was so beautiful, and I believe one of the promos for Angel, they use this scene where she's like Angel, and like the white light engulfs the way it's shot. It's just so well done. They knew they had something special. Again, why didn't they keep? I don't know what the reaction was that they thought they had to take Cordelia and regress her, because this was a great path when you're looking at the show now in retrospection.
That, I think about that because I was thinking when I was watching it, I was like, oh, it's because she got pregnant and he was mad at her. But no, because
she was supposed to be the villain the whole time. Yeah. It's just Gina Torres got brought in because
because of pregnancy.
I agree.
And like
the woman, I was obsessed with the woman. Like I used to print out photos of Gina Torres and put it all over my college campus and be like, come watch the woman speak. Like it was obsessed. Sorry. But no, I agree. Yeah. I don't know why the idea was when they were doing the planning for season 4, and I love season 4 quite a bit. I don't know why the planning was there for making Cordy the big bad.
Yeah. And like, I don't know, like on Buffy, this is literally the season where Willow is, and it's like, but they just did this. Like,
yeah.
And like we've done like doubles on these shows so many times. We did not need, it's not like it's like a new thing. And yeah, I just like, I don't understand because in my brain it goes to, oh, well, because Joss is a big baby and he was mad at her for being, but no, because she's not pregnant until like halfway through the season. And and so like that was always their plan, which is a terrible plan.
He's always, thinking of X-Men and his the influence he's had from Marvel and stuff like that. I mean, he's always had a Dark Phoenix fetish. He loves that idea of a character. And by the way, as do a lot of writers, but the idea that this character is so good, so powerful, and there's this fall from grace,
Yeah.
right? So, but again, I think it's just so terrible because Cordy's evolution is the best in the Buffyverse.
And this like kills her evolution, where with Willow, I do think it does eventually. Like, of course, it regresses her to a villain, but then in season 7, it
Well,
helps
because
her.
Willow has a chance in
Yeah.
season 7 to, recoup, and we see how she rebuilds herself. We don't get that with Charisma.
Yeah.
Charisma literally, towards the end of season 4, that's what she's done. She gives birth, and then we don't see her again. We see her body double or like stock footage of her, but we don't see her till You're Welcome in
I
season
can
5.
remember that finale being so bummed that I was like, that's the scene of Cordelia we get, just like a woman laying on the ground and doesn't have a
Yeah.
line. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. And
Like,
again, I couldn't know, like, did they film that? They must have filmed that before too.
yeah.
Because she would have been gone by that point. But yeah, the original finale for 4, it was supposed to be her versus Angel, right? There was supposed to
Yeah.
be
I
a
think
big
so.
fight sequence. I
He,
think so.
my understanding from what I've read over the years is like ultimately he would have had to kill her the same way Buffy had to kill him.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well,
And I do think like that there's a world in which that could play out well, right? If like she came back in the premiere, the way Angel came back, like if like the powers that be just like, nope, she's
We
coming
fucked
back.
up. She's coming back.
Yeah,
I
like
mean, they did it
that,
with Spike.
right. That could have been interesting. But alas. So Cordelia flashes. I like that it like flashes all throughout the hotel. Like everyone is like, and that just kind of gets rid of them, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
that's it.
because they're the same thing. They're light sensitive, so it somehow kills them all, and we don't have to worry about
It's
them
like-
anymore.
Cordelia magic. That's it. Shh. That's it.
And like, who even says you're a goddess when she comes back up? And it's like, oh, I love
Yeah,
it.
she is.
Yeah.
And then the Destroyer shows up.
Oh, I love guys. I was in love with this. I don't want to properly set it up, but Vincent, oh my God, I was in love with him.
I do love the fake out of like when they're like the Destroyer's coming. I think it's now, and then just this big, huge demon shows up in the lobby.
Yes.
Oh,
And you're like, oh, well, this guy's going to fuck them up, I guess, next episode.
and then he gets killed, and then comes back Connor, and he's like, "Hi, Dad." Oh,
I do like, while I don't love Connor, I do think this is such a good
It's a great
like,
intro.
introduction. Like,
I
so
I
good.
love Connor, so I look forward to debating this with you. I think he brought so much. It was a lot of fun for season 4. Like kind of ickiness, of course. We'll get into that, but I think the way he enters is so great. And again, like Colin, as you were saying, the cop out that we're like, oh, there's a destroyer, but which is such a Whedon verse thing to do. It's like here's this big scary monster. Haha, just joking.
Yeah.
You know.
It really is. I feel like that's like almost exactly what Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. did all the time, where it'd be like, you thought the villain had the one up on the agents, but then it's like, nope, they were already 2 steps ahead. Like, that's very Whedon to be like, the characters, like, someone is a step ahead of the thing that you think is the big bad or whatever. But yeah, no, I do think that's a fucking fantastic intro. I like remember being gooped and confused about Connor when it aired.
Especially because like they make a point in like the last couple episodes very clearly, like there's no way he's coming back. He's probably dead.
They say he's dead. Yeah, they literally say that in this episode. Gunn says that like Connor's dead. And well, he is not.
Yeah, and we didn't have casting rumors or any
Right.
like leaks, especially for Angel. Like Buffy spoil, I think it was like Buffy spoils.com or something like that, but we didn't really get them for Angel. So it truly was a shock. Like when Darla at the beginning of the season is unveiled to being pregnant, we did not know. And the same here with like Connor coming in, like it was a genuine surprise. But it did teach me the trope of the kid, and I would talk about this in college, where the kid is born and then they get sent off and they come back as an adult and they cause trouble. So that is very much the trope.
Colin, are you about to say what I'm about to say?
Oh, I don't know. I was going to say they even did the thing that even though there was no casting rumor we were going to say or anything like that, of putting Vincent Kartheiser's guest starring at the end instead of at the beginning. which they've done a few times to fake out that someone was coming back.
Because oftentimes in Buffy, it would spoil a character's appearance. Because in the after credits, it'd be and blah blah Juliet Landau, Drusilla. So then you knew Drusilla was in the episode.
But
I was always so happy when I saw Juliet's name. By the way, sorry, Colin. I was
just gonna say they did it in a couple episodes over on Buffy when Giles returns, and they did it last season when Drusilla shows up to kill Darla.
She's at the end.
They don't credit her until the end.
The thing I was going to say, which I thought you were about to say, Colin, is Dayspring, you mentioned that trope. In The Magicians, the show Colin and I never shut up about, there's literally that happens and they mention Angel. It's a joke that the woman, one character gives birth, it's taken by demons, these fairy demons, comes back as she's a teenager, right, Colin? Yeah. And Margot and Elliot, Dayspring, they literally discuss times that has happened, and they mention they mention Angel and Buffy, and then Margot Summer Bishel is actually on Buffy, Dawn was never a baby, she just appeared. And
that's true.
It's so nerdy, right? To be well, actually no, that could fall into that trope, but it was not that trope.
It's not specifically.
Yeah.
I love that. I want to watch I'm going to listen to your episodes and watch The Magicians. You've spoken so highly.
Have you not watched The Magicians?
I have not.
Oh my god.
Dayspring, so I feel The Magicians is a perfect combination of Buffy and X-Men.
You'd love it.
That sounds perfect.
The first season's a little rough, but I promise it gets so much better.
It's like Battlestar Galactica. If you can get through the mini movie, the rest of the series is great. I feel that. I'm going to download some for my flight tomorrow.
All right, great. Yeah, it's on Netflix. I feel a lot of genre shows are kind of like that, right? Yeah. Where it's there's a rocky start, and then
you gotta get through the premise and accept what the world and stuff is.
Yeah.
And then,
yeah. All right. Well, now that we are at the end, favorite outfit, Colin?
I've got two. One is Scruffy West, just because I love him so much.
Fair.
But the other one is Lauren's Dick Tracy / Elizabeth Sparkle yellow.
Yes.
That's very accurate.
What? It's perfect.
It's called fashion, Colin.
Exactly.
Dayspring?
Saint Cordy. I love it. And by the way, I love that Charisma Carpenter totally was able to get away with the Felicity rule, right? Where she can't change her haircut. Love that BD for her, but I love it when she glows up. I just love it so much.
Yeah, I do love that. I think it's because they put out a figure that was horrendous of Fred in this outfit. I think of her in that orange baby doll tee with the khaki colored culottes.
Oh my god!
Just sticks out to me. I like the orange on her. But yeah, I don't know that the outfits are a little oof at the end of the season here. Favorite scene? I think we're all gonna have the same one. Dayspring.
Well, you know what? Just because I do think we will, but so I'm going to be a contrarian. Lila with the tarantula. That's it. That's it. And actually, speaking of figures, that's what I want. I want a figure of Lila with a spider.
With a little tarantula in her hand?
Yeah.
Colin?
I don't know what favorite scene you were going to choose. So I'm going to go with, I think, the conversation between Gru and Cordy when she saves herself.
Okay. And Dayspring, what am I going to say is my favorite scene, which you were going to say was your favorite scene?
Where she lights up. Yeah, she lights up. She's like Angel. Cause again, the way it's shot, the slug gets on her. She's like Angel. She doesn't know her power yet, and it's unleashed. And even Angel's like, holy shit! Yes. It very much is a Phoenix moment.
Yes.
But yeah, that I have to tell you, I think when you think of this episode, that is. This Angel season 3, the second app. This is an iconic moment.
Yes, and it's funny because this episode's fine, but it has two very iconic moments. That and then Connor jumping through are iconic for this season. And I think again to your point earlier, Dayspring, it's Charisma's acting that really sells the moment because Cordelia is confused. Cordelia doesn't know what the fuck is going on. And she's calls out to her friend because she's like, is this okay? Yeah. Am I going to be okay? And I just love
it. Again, it's smart writing. It's not just that she's so powerful and all that stuff. It's just really smart.
Yeah. Yeah. What grade do we give this episode, Colin?
I'm going to give it a solid B.
Okay. Dayspring?
I give it a B+. B+.
Okay. I give it a B. Thank you both for joining me. Thank you all for listening. If you like Slayerfest 98, you can find us on all social media platforms at SlayerFestX98. You can find us on all podcasting platforms and on YouTube because all our episodes are video recordings as well. Make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Be nice. And if you want to follow me, I'm at ENX Carlos. If you want to support us, we are on Patreon. We're going through Buffy season 4 for its 25th anniversary, X-Men the Animated Series, and Batman the Animated Series. Any and all support is much appreciated. And Dayspring, where can everyone find you?
So we're at Power of X-Men on Instagram and all podcast platforms. We do have an interview that I'm almost done editing with Robin Lively, who, of course, we met at the Deadpool and Wolverine premiere, and she gave us some behind-the-scenes tea on Deadpool and Wolverine, and her daughter playing a character in there that no one's picked up on. So we're excited for that. I'm starting a second podcast, which is just more like re-airing our interviews, but it's called History of X-Men. And we're going to kick off with interviews from the Generation X movie. So we have Jubilee, Refract, Skin, and Banshee. So we're really excited to. We do. That was one of our first interviews. We have her and Randall Slavin. So
who was
it's a fun.
Lyle Gorch, right?
Yeah. So we're excited.
Cool. And Colin, where can everyone find you?
I'm on the various socials at csmith03.
All right, cool. We'll see y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.